I'm a bad mood, gotta keep it tight. Hold my baby squid, keep him out of sight. Talking about my life, government, stay away. Watch me drive, I'ma do it my own way. Squid in the ocean, swimming all alone. Ain't nobody telling me where to go. Living free, gotta stay true to myself. No need for interference from anyone else. Squid pro quo, that's the way to be. Living on my terms, setting myself free. I'm up to my baby, protecting with my no government intrusion. I control my life.
Hey guys, it's Squid. Welcome back to my channel, and let me turn on my light so y'all can actually, see me, because if I don't, I look blind or, I don't look great. Hair's done. Hair's crazy today. It's crazy, but it's much better than, earlier when I had gym hair. I don't know. Hey everyone, glad you are here. Hey Flash fan, yes, please sub, share, like this video. Get it out, because this information YouTube has not been happy with people talking about this. But I don't care. I feel like it's definitely a necessary topic to talk about. I'm going to keep it apolitical. But I am going to talk about some things that YouTube may not like. So in order for me to not get or to actually put some effort into my work, because I've worked hard on this video, send them super chats. I'm not trying to take your ramen money, but if you have like Alfredo money, not ramen money, because we all know that if you're ramen money, you're scraping by. But if you got like some beef bolognese kind of money, feel free to send that breadstick money some of this way, because YouTube may not let me monetize this video. So far, we are good. So far, but I haven't really said anything, so we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Hose Picker, good to see you. Roy on Replay Crew, I love you. You know it. Kinley, good to see you back. Unhung Hero, thank you for the $2 super chat, getting us started off right. Flash fan, it's a going. You might see Baby Squid pop her head in here. We're trying to work on actually going to bed at 8 o'clock, because her bedtime's been 8 o'clock her entire life. But we've been letting it slide because we're sick of the tantrums. But we're putting our foot down, and we're putting our foot down. So, and hey, Linda, how are you? Jen, John, how is everybody doing tonight? Glad you are all here. Uncle Buck in the house. Oh, Mama Squid, good to see you too. Hoy. All right, let's get into this, because your girl is tired, and between some stuff that's going on today, and I really, really appreciate when Mr. Squid wants to talk, because he was talking college football so much tonight. But I just sat there like, I can't do this. I can't. I have kind of a headache. So we're chugging water, and I put a little apple cider vinegar in my water because I need flavoring, but the imitation Great Value Mio that I have has yellow number 5 in it. And that is where we are going to kick off this discussion. My camera's like, oh no, girl, you are not talking about anything. There we go. We're going to start this discussion off with artificial dyes. They are in everything. Everything. Thanks, Kinley. They are in everything. So there's been some controversy with them. The FDA says they're fine. Yeah, yellow number 5 is just the tip of the iceberg, but we are trying to stay monetized. So what I did is, in order to stay in YouTube's good graces, I'm using peer-reviewed research. Yes, I do. They're in the description. So I put all the links in the description, including as the gavel drops. It's easier than trying to pin it every time because I forget. So I've just been adding it to my links in the description of every video. That way I don't forget. And even if I do forget to mention it, it's always there, so I don't forget. Because I've been known to do that a time or two. Like I have this plan, and then things go crazy and awry, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket. So to make sure that I don't forget, the As the Gavel Drops Discord link, where I get the majority of the legal documents that I use, especially the ones that are hard to find, and anything outside of Florida, you're kind of picking and choosing and like having to do some research. As the Gavel Drops makes it so easy. They have all the cases on the side. You click on it, and all the possible documents are right there. And documents varies, drop documents on a weekly basis. So, hey Roslyn, how are you? Oh, it's been a day, huh? It's been a day. So in order to stay in the good graces of YouTube, I am going to play a little bit of this video. Thanks, Unhunk Hero, for the $5 super chat. As a kid, we used to joke that yellow number 5, because it was in Mountain Dew, would shrink your. I guess we weren't far off. Well, And hey, Penny. So here's the thing. We are going to only play a tiny portion of this at a time. And when we do play it, we are going to stop and back it up with peer-reviewed, journal published research. As to stay on the scientific side of things, we are using publicly available on the NIH's website through PubMed, peer-reviewed, published research. Therefore, I am not doing any sort of information that is not science-based. So we'll just start with that. I'm hoping that is what gets me around some of the YouTube not liking things, because I am using government websites. I am using, yes, it won't stop all of them, but because I am using government websites, hey, two awesome dogs, how are you? Poor Marine, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? Ew. They used to have clear Pepsi too. Figure that one out. I mean, but honestly, clear Pepsi is probably better than what they have, the regular Pepsi, because it didn't have any dyes in it. Just a thought. Yeah, we should be good. But let's see if we can trust YouTube, which is why all of my stuff is coming from government websites and or published articles. So we are going to play a little bit of this. And while this is playing, I will get the article that I want to watch, because I saved them all in a nice little folder. So I try to. Oh, you're at 448. Mods, if you could drop the link to Awesome Dog's channel. We're trying to get her to 500 before Thanksgiving. So we've got 3 days. Poor Marine, that's a thing for a different, and I think I understand why, and I'll discuss it with you privately, but different place, different time. We'll discuss that. Write me on Twitter. Anybody remember that clear Pepsi? That's it. That shit was gross. Like, whoever thought that was a good idea? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I knew that. Why did I? I know. I apologize. I have no idea why I just called you she. Don't try to cancel me because I misgendered you. Like, I know that. Like, I've always known that. Like, hey Patrick, just tonight, is that what was causing your problems? So, well, if I mean honestly, if that's what was causing your issues, we're good to go. I mean, that would do it. Hopefully that's what solves your problem and now you can just Huh. No, that wasn't what was causing your issue? Oh my goodness. Ugh. Well, I don't either. Like, my pronouns are generally F and you, not necessarily in that order. Um. Oh, good luck. I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better. All right, we're gonna play this, and he's introducing that lady with the nutrient labels and ingredient labels.
They wrote that for me.
Fruit Loops ready.
And I am
That
proud to
wasn't
say
me.
that I voted for Ron Johnson before I moved for Georgia.
That's
No.
not my nickname. Is a food activist, author, and speaker committed to improving food quality and safety. She has built a powerful platform through her blog advocating for transparency in food labeling and the removal of harmful chemicals from processed food. Her activism has spurred significant change in the food industry, encouraging consumers to make healthier, more informed choices while prompting companies to adopt cleaner practices. Bonnie.
Thank you so much, Senator Ron Johnson, for this opportunity to testify. It's truly surreal to be in this room right now. I'm here today to share something important with all of you that affects all of our lives, something that has been overlooked for decades. Our government is letting U.S. food companies get away with serving American citizens harmful ingredients that are banned or heavily regulated in other countries.
That's completely true. Europe, yeah, you guys are lucky. For as much quote unquote freedom as we have here and things that I wouldn't change here to move over there, food is not one of them. That is, food is not one thing here that is better at all.
Even worse, American food companies are selling the same exact products overseas without these chemicals, but choose to continue serving us the most toxic version here.
And that's what I don't understand. Not only it might be more expensive to process or to make the other ones, but they're already doing it. They're already doing it. And if they're already doing it and shipping it overseas, it can't be that big of a deal to make it all like that. It's just poor Marine, my or Twitter is kiddo0485, I think. So, so one of the things that she mentions, and I'm trying to cut this up quite frequently so that I can sort of get around YouTube's stuff. So.
It's un-American. One set of ingredients. Thank you. One set of ingredients there and one set of ingredients here. Let me give you some examples.
So acesulfame potassium is another one, but we're going to get into that. Yeah, it's so Roland, my biggest thing is, like I said on my stream earlier, I have two different versions of vanilla ice cream in the freezer. I have from the same company. One is a natural vanilla and one is a homemade vanilla. The natural vanilla doesn't have as much crap in it. So if you're going to eat like crap, at least you're eating real food and not synthetic food. Like if you're going to eat crap, at least eat real sugar. And your body processes sugar differently than it processes high fructose corn syrup. It sees sugar as a real food. Yes, it's toxic, and we can get that is a whole nother debate. Sugar is a toxin. Sugar, like cancer cells feed off of sugar. They're, so there's a basis for that too, and that is a whole nother, yeah. Well, yeah, but like there's a whole nother discussion of junk food and ice cream as junk food. There's no real nutritional value to ice cream. However, if you're going to eat ice cream, eat real ice cream and not something that's loaded with fake vanillin, because we all know where that comes from, and artificial sweeteners and, artificial crap. If you're going to eat crap, at least eat real food. Like that whole other, well, it's junk food could be a whole nother set of issues. And hey, Jeannie, how are you? And yes, this is the topic that you and I saw firsthand with people, and even dietitians in the hospital were like saying that sugar-free, they were giving diabetics like sugar-free cookies. And it's like, okay, I understand they have to watch their sugar, but the stuff you're giving them might be doing worse for them than if they just ate one cookie and monitored their blood sugar. Like, it's just, I didn't agree with a bunch of stuff that even dietitians did in the hospital because it didn't make effing sense to me. And that is another reason that I will never, ever, ever work in a hospital again, because my goal is to keep people out of the hospital. Oh, and let's see, I'm going to check on my my live stream and see, hey, we're still green. We still green. We still monetized. Like, we still monetized. Like, oh. And I do have also a link in my description about how to read a new food and nutrition label. And Flashman, my assumption would be, how is one that is vision impaired figure all this out? You take someone with you. You either take someone with you, or your vision seems to be all right enough to type. Bring a magnifying glass or something that but if you taste the two, if you taste those two ice creams side by side, there's a color difference and a taste difference. The homemade vanilla is yellow. It's like a cream colored or a yellow and off-white. The natural vanilla is white. It's pure white, and you can see specks of vanilla. It's the weirdest thing. So you can tell a color difference and there's a taste difference. But honestly, any way that you can have someone read it, or we might go into eventually, I kind of wanted to get into brands to look for that don't use, because the only thing that we as consumers can do right now is use our wallets. If we don't buy it, they're going to know we're upset. And I understand that not everybody has that means, but if you do have the means to do it, do it. Yeah, and unfortunately, diabetes runs in just about everybody's families because we live in America. So, the natural. So Tammy, on my earlier stream, I brought out both tubs of ice cream because I look at these things when I go shopping and Mr. Squid doesn't. because, he's a dude. And I'm sorry, most guys just grab it and, yeah. On both sides. Thank you for that reminder. Which is part of the reason that I'm doing this, because if we do this and talk about it, I might actually listen to my own freaking advice. Just saying. Big Pharma owns almost everything, including our food. Yeah. So on this thing, acesulfame K and acesulfame potassium are the same thing, because if you know any chemistry at all, potassium is K. So if you see those two, they are on the same, or they're the same thing. They're labeled as two different things. And that's the other thing about nutrition labels and ingredients, is you could have, it's acesulfame potassium on one and acesulfame K on the other. If people don't know or don't remember that potassium is the, is K on the table of elements. I almost said table of contents. I'm like, oh yeah. That's true too. And that's the one good thing that came out of COVID, is you can buy a lot of stuff online. What I do is this is what I use. We're going to share this tab instead. I use Thrive Market. The reason I'm on it is because I have to finalize my order. I have an auto ship order. But I also look on here and I see, okay, what is their selling? They have all the ingredients and everything. But I also then go to Walmart's website and see if it's cheaper at Walmart or my local grocery store. But for Alfredo sauce and stuff, I would say like Rouse is probably the best brand that I've found. It doesn't have any, it's non-GMO as well. I'm on a couple non-GMO groups on Facebook, and they get kind of crazy with some things sometimes, but this is a brand that everybody generally agrees on. But that's because if you look at it, it's a product of Italy. So not so much this one, but if you look at their bolognese sauce, and if you look at their, it said made with Italian tomatoes, and some of their bottles say product of Italy. If it says product of Italy, it's subject to Italian regulations, which are better than here. Newman's Own does a good sauce, but Newman's, yeah, that's how I price check. I'm glad I'm not the only one that price checks like that. Newman's Own is not always the way to go. I have not found, I went to Walmart after Megan did her stream, and I tried to find stuff without yellow number 5 in it. And it's weird because not even Newman's Own's honey mustard is dye-free. Every single honey mustard bottle that was on that I could find on Walmart shelves in my local Walmart had yellow number 5 in it. So I might do a little cooking recipe short of trying to make, using Dijon mustard and some other ingredients, homemade honey mustard. And if it passes the little test, I know it's good. That's up for debate because it has tomatoes in it and it's a base ingredient, but it generally has a lot of sugar. So it's all about the brand you buy. It's all about the brand you buy. Because if you buy the dollar store version, you're going to get the cheapest version to make, and that usually has the high fructose corn syrup and sugar, and it has a lot of sugar. But if you spend a little bit more, or you go to, like, here, that's just Primal Kitchen is always a good brand, but it's expensive. Thrive Market has their own brand of stuff. So let's see what's in it. Non-GMO, gluten-free. Well, if I'm sorry, but if your ketchup, I know they have to put gluten-free on it, but if your ketchup says gluten-free, yeah. So organic tomato concentrate, organic sugar, organic distilled vinegar, salt, less than 2% of organic onion powder, and spices. So 3 added sugars out of 4 carbohydrates. So it has almost a teaspoon of sugar in it. So, and that's in a tablespoon serving, half of it is sugar. So yeah. I mean, and they have spices in there too, but spices don't really count for calories and or nutritional value. Oh, Ungung Hero, I'm gonna let you do that. But we were talking about what she had mentioned, and before it gets into something that YouTube will eat me for, you can just see it. This thing behind her McDonald's fries had red 40 in it. So let's see, that was I have 3 articles and I'm trying to figure out which one. And we're only going to go over the articles slightly because I'm not going to bore you guys with the testing that they did. We will just read the abstract and the results. Oh, and I'm still and I'm still having a moment with my Yeah, you say that about most of my streams though. So, you know. Mrs. Buck is allergic to all the petrochemicals, food dyes, preservatives, been eating organic since 2002. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing to be allergic to. Yeah. And that is why everybody is mad that what Trump and RFK are planning to do. Because of the fact that they're all interconnected and they all make money from each other. And if you're sick, guess who else makes money? Big Pharma, because Big Pharma makes the things that make you better. Yeah. All right, there's one. This is the one I'm trying to show. Yellow 5. Window. Red 40. He's going to make this bigger. Oh, come on. It should make it bigger for you guys. Why didn't it? I don't understand why it didn't make it bigger for you guys. Let me try that again. Would help if there we go. And it might be kind of hard to see when it gets bigger. But this was Toxicology Report 11. Oh, synthetic food dye red 40 causes DNA damage, causes colonic inflammation, and impacts the microbiome in mice. And this is not a stream about the appropriateness of animal testing. That is something for another time. I will not give you my opinion on that. But this was from the Department of Drug Discovery and Biomedical Sciences, College of Pharmacy, University of South Carolina, Department of Pathology, Microbiology, and Immunology, School of Medicine at South Carolina, Department of Behavioral Health, Nursing Science, College of Nursing, South Carolina, Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics, Arnold School of Public Health, South Carolina. So this was published from a college. So YouTube published peer-reviewed information toxicology reports. There's my, so I'm just going to read you the abstract because it's pretty freaking interesting. The incidence of colorectal cancer among young people has been on the rise for the past 4 decades, and its underlying causes are just only starting to be uncovered. Recent studies suggest that consuming ultra-processed foods and pro-inflammatory diets may be contributing factors. That is all the stuff when you go to the grocery store on the inner aisles. If you notice, the outside of the grocery store is where you want to stay, because that's all the fresh stuff. It's the stuff in the middle that makes you sick. Not medical advice, just what I've noticed. Observation. Hey, Gabby. The increase in the use of synthetic food colors in such foods over the past 40 years, including the common synthetic food dyes Allure Red AC, Red 40, coincides with the rise of early onset colorectal cancer. As these ultra-processed foods are particularly appealing to children, there is growing concern about the impact of synthetic food dyes on the development of CRC. Our study aimed to investigate the effects of Red 40 on DNA damage, the microbiome, colonic inflammation. Despite a lack of prior research, high levels of human exposure to pro-inflammatory foods containing Red 40 highlight the urgency of exploring this issue. Our results showed that Red 40 damages DNA both in vitro and in vivo, and that consumption of Red 40 in the presence of a high-fat diet for 10 months leads to dysbiosis and low-grade colonic inflammation in mice. This evidence supports the hypothesis that Red 40 is a dangerous compound that dysregulates key players involved in the development of early-onset colorectal cancer. Okay, putting that in one thing that we can, not the South Carolina, not the University of South Carolina. Where they disappeared from was that NIH, last Thursday when I was talking about where all our money went, and Monkey Island. That's where that is where they disappeared from. Same state, different area. Processed foods cause cancer. I really rethink my eating habits. We all do. And unfortunately, because we live in a world of where we're busy all the time, even though some of us think this is common sense and know we shouldn't be eating things, like I would love to make Alfredo sauce from scratch every time, but sometimes you just ain't got the time. You have a screaming toddler who's hungry. You forgot to take something out of the freezer. All you have is pantry staples, noodles, and a jar of sauce. Like, please don't eat the hobbits. Wow, this stream took a turn. But isn't this funny though? Like the amount of people here right now, and I love every single one of you that are here. I know these aren't my highest viewed streams. There's only 19 of you here. It's like I know these aren't my highest viewed streams, but I feel like they're the most important, because talking about a sheriff who unalived a judge had 70 viewers. Talking about how food dyes can impact our health, 18. I know these aren't my highest grossing streams, but I feel like they're the most important. I mean, I feel like they're the most important to everybody. And I'm passionate about this. I am super, super passionate about not giving my daughter crap. And yes, I have to give her stuff like this sometimes because, you know, you can only give her so much stuff that's good for her. But sometimes you need to get some food in her and she's not willing to eat anything else. Like today, we lived off peanut butter and jelly. But I do buy the jelly that's natural and it only has the fruit, a little bit of sugar, and some fruit pectin. I don't buy, like, I at least look at stuff because if I'm going to give her stuff that might not be the healthiest, I'm going to give her real food. And when she's teething, because she's getting them 2-year-old molars, food's not always like what we liked yesterday, we don't want today. We went through our entire pantry today and was like, do you want this? No. You want this? No. Do you want this? No. Peanut butter and jelly? Okay. Like, that's, it's where I'm sure habits. It's like snipe hunting. Like, it's a huge wake up call. I need to rethink my eating habits. I don't want to risk leaving this world young. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't want to leave the workday young. But I know these aren't my highest viewed streams, but I feel like they're the most important. And I like to have a well-rounded channel and not only talk about the cases that are interesting, but just things in life that might be good for us to talk about. And since I do a politics stream and people are talking about RFK and RFK Jr. and what he might or might do, I feel like this is downstream from that. Flash is having a rough day Englishing. I have a rough day Englishing every day. Like, I'm already diabetic at 37. Don't be like me. My dad is pre-diabetic. Don't tell him I told you that. But, at least I can be entertaining with this stuff, right? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and read you a paper like I am, but so I'll just read some snippets that I found interesting in this because I did read pretty much the whole thing. So they basically, I'll read you the intro. Colorectal cancer in the young, less than 50 years old, termed early onset colorectal cancer, has been on the rise over the past 40 years. Although standard risk factors such as obesity, alcohol, and smoking are linked, there remains a gap in our understanding as to why we're seeing a rise in CRC in otherwise healthy young people in their 20s and 30s. Diet, even people who are not obese. Let me stress that. You don't have to be obese for a chronic disease to get you. Being obese doesn't help, but you can be a skinny shit and still get a chronic disease. And colorectal cancer will leave you emptying a ostomy bag for the rest of your life. And trust me, I've emptied enough ostomy bags in my life to never want one for myself. Grandmother lived with one for 16 years. I've had patients as young as 35 with ostomy bags. They are not fun. You're basically pooping out the side of your body. It's not a good, nope. I'm eating more vegetables, no more salmon. And salmon is good for you, though. Salmon is good for you. Rice is not awful for you, but research suggests that a diet high in processed meats, red meats, and saturated fats may elevate the risk of developing colorectal cancer. Conversely, diets rich in fiber, whole grains, fruit, and vegetables offer protective benefits by promoting regular bowel movements. Go and poop is important, people. Maintaining gut health and reducing inflammation. Inflammation is everywhere. Inflammation can cause problems everywhere in the body. Your knee hurts because you have arthritis, it's inflammation. Your gut is screwed up, it's inflammation is likely and I think I don't agree with everything in this study, but preach it. Pooping is important. I agree, red meat is good for you, but it's also the quality of meat that you get. Do you get like do you get the animal that was fed all the crap, or are you getting an animal that was grass-fed, grass-finished? So, yeah. And I think the right here, high in processed meats is the most difficult in there. Pepperoni is processed meat. That's the problem. Because when you process it, you add nitrates, not found naturally. You add stuff, and it's just nobody clip that, Gabby. Just nobody clip that. So, and Flash Fan, what you'll learn is that there's no one diet that's perfect for everybody. That's why they preach variety. But pepperoni is red. Instructions unclear. If you type the Netherlands on Google Maps, you'll understand why our beef is mostly. And you know what? Cows were meant to eat grass. That's why they have so many stomachs, is because they can process it and break it down. We cannot. That's why that's why when dogs eat grass, they get sick, and they usually eat grass when they don't feel good to make them, review their lunch. But cows are made to cows are made to eat grass. That's their natural, pepperoni is full of crap. It's processed foods are bad. Yeah. It's both. In my opinion, it's both. Because when they feed you other things, it's not natural for cows to eat that. Cows, before people made food or made feed, cows ate grass. And there's plenty of fields. Cows still eat grass. They eat sometimes hay in the wintertime just because the grass is covered up if you're not in the right environment. However, the prevalence of ultra-processed westernized diets that are typically high in fat and simple carbohydrates has increased significantly over the past 40 years. Committed with a rise in early onset colorectal cancer. So, and there's also, we could get into nutrition, but typical high in fat and simple carbohydrates, there is some research, and I don't have the research. I will have to go to the YouTube channel that I will watch for that information. But the quality of fat and the timing of a fat and a carb together versus a fat and a protein together, your body processes them differently. I don't have the research in front of me on how to do that. On how that your body processes it differently, but that's like high in fat and simple carbohydrates. So when you have a burger with a bun, that's different than if you have just the burger and just that fat and that protein together versus that high fat with the simple carb. Your body processes them differently. That's why in general they say eat carbs towards the end of your meal. Eat the protein and the fat first, carbs later, because your body processes them differently. So it's not always about what you eat, it's about how you eat it too, which is bizarre. I'm not going to get into that research because that'll take you down a rabbit hole that I will never get out of. Because that just leads me to another topic and then another topic and then another topic. And we're trying to stay consistent here. Yeah, I'm trying to pretty much do that too. I eat generally my dinner when I'm cooking for myself is basically just a protein and a vegetable. I try not to eat carbs at dinner, because if I eat carbs at dinner, then I want to get carbs. Yeah, and it's there's part of it. That's a big part. So it's all about how your body processes things. Plus the fat and the protein gives you more a sense of satiety than the carb. So you're more likely to eat less of the carbs if you eat the fat and the protein first, because you'll feel satiated. That's why if you ever compare eating steak and eggs or a muffin for breakfast, even though they have the same amount of calories, the steak and eggs will keep you fuller longer because you will feel satiated, because that fat and that protein keeps you satiated longer than you eat a muffin that's 400 calories and you're hungry 2 hours later. So I'm not a dietitian. This is just based on research that I've read, and a nutrition class in college. Because I did have to take a nutrition class in college. So, So this diet consists of foods that are heavily processed, include synthetic chemicals, are low in fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and are often high in added sugar. Indeed, rigorous science has consistently shown a highly processed, high-fat, westernized diet can drive inflammation and gut dysbiosis and may increase risk of early onset colorectal cancer. There remains a gap, however, to the specific ingredients and their mechanisms towards early onset cancer. Because of the prevalence of Red 40 in highly processed westernized diets, it's reasonable to investigate the impact of Red 40 that often comes with the consumption of high-fat Western diets on colon health in relation to carcinogenesis. This is, how come I can't read a legal document, but you give me this, and I'm like, dysbiosis and carcinogenesis, and, well, you can tell my background, right? Synthetic dyes are prevalent in the global food supply chain. 3 dyes, Allure Red, aka Red 40, tartrazine, Yellow 5, and Sunset Yellow, Yellow 6, account for 90% of all dyes used in food in the USA. And Red 40 is by far the most common. Alarmingly, 94% of people over 2 years old in the US consume Red 40, and over 40% of foods marketed towards children in the US contain such dyes. It's used extensively in processed foods as a coloring for beverages, frozen treats, powder mixes, gelatin products, candies, icings, jellies, spices, dressings, sauces, and baked goods. It's like, no. So getting past the stool and microbiome analysis, they set up a diet and they tracked the results, because that's really the most important part. I will post this study on my page, on my community page, if you want to see it, and read it all for yourself. I'm not going to read everything because it does get pretty scientific, and even I'm sometimes like, it takes me a little bit of time and understanding to read, and reading it on stream would just suck for both of us. Red 40 causes DNA damage in vitro. In vitro experiments were conducted to examine the impact of Red 40 on human HCT 116 colon cancer cells. To this, we carried out dose and time course experiments with physiological relevant doses of Red 40. Figure 1 shows that Red 40 causes DNA damage determined by the common assay. Ooh. So there's the, oh, Jesus. And I'm using research YouTube, so you can't demonetize me because I'm using peer-reviewed, and we are still green, so we are good. Like, I guess this is my way around it, is using peer-reviewed research. Because they can't say I'm not science when I'm literally reading science. Like, because that's what they said. Medical misinformation was the phrase that was used. And I'm literally reading a scientific journal. No medical misinformation here. Unless you want to go after the University of South Carolina for being misinformation. I don't see that happening. Red 40 also causes dose-dependent increase in the DNA damage markers P53 and phosphorylated P53 on serum. Well, that's over my head. It is important to mention that Red 40 does not have a significant cytostatic or cytotoxic effect under these experimental conditions. Well, that's great. Red 40 DNA causes damage in vivo. Although previous studies from the early 2000s have shown that Red 40 causes DNA damage to the colon, others have shown a lack of DNA damage. Because of this is an unresolved issue, and it makes sense to confirm our in vitro results, here we evaluated the impact of Red 40 on DNA damage in vivo. Red 40 at doses equivalent to the accepted daily allowance, or twice the accepted daily allowance, causes DNA damage to the colon. Mice were given a bolus of Red 40 at indicated doses. Then colon cells collected at indicated times, hours 0, 6, 24 hours, and 1 week. Oy. Gross. Yeah, but the difference between me and Crowder is 1, he's a lot bigger, and 2, they don't like him. So I haven't done anything to royally make them angry, and I don't have the image of something urinating on a YouTube logo at the end of my streams. So, you know. So, you know. Oh my goodness. It goes into the caloric intake of each mouse. So Red 40 has been proven in mice to cause DNA damage. And we are feeding this shit to our kids every day. Every day. Every freaking day. And it goes pretty in depth into yeah. It says, in conclusion, our study distinguished by meticulous dietary control and selected CRC-related outcome measurements underscores Red 40's adverse effects. The combination of in vitro and in vivo models facilitates nuanced exploration of colorectal cancer relevant mechanisms. Nonetheless, our study does possess limitations, including the need for more detailed mechanistic insights into 2 observed changes. As we continue to examine how Red 40 triggers low-grade inflammation with emphasis on relevant microbiomal species, we acknowledge the challenges in extrapolating results from animal models to human contexts. Still, we are, at the end of the day, an animal. We are just the top of the food chain in the animal kingdom, but we are just an animal. So if it causes problems in an animal, there's a high likelihood that there's a very high likelihood that it causes problems with us too. Like, It's so crazy how the advertisements are shoved in our faces in the US and other countries are not like that. And a lot of the stuff that's allowed here is not allowed in other countries. That is true. Like it's not allowed here. Why are we putting up with it here? And why are we tolerating it? Why are we tolerating General Mills making two different types of cereal, sending one overseas and giving the cheaper one and the more highly processed one to our kids? Flash fan. It all depends on what you put in the smoothie. You could put ice cream in the smoothie, and it's all about what you put in it. Oh, everything is about what you do. Like, it's not. You could put anything in a smoothie and call it a smoothie. You go to like Tropical Smoothie Cafe, some of those smoothies are 800 calories because they put so damn sugar in them. And they pre-soak their fruit in sugar. So some of the problems we're currently dealing with, forever chemicals. That's the problem too. All right. So we are going to see if we are still in the green, and we are. So we're going to watch just a tiny bit more of this. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. Like, the amount of crap. Like, artificial dyes are only the tip of the iceberg. But it's what we're mainly discussing here. One show, one topic. I'm trying to not make things too, especially big topics like this. You got to kind of pick one thing, otherwise it's too much. And we're kind of going to keep this short too. We'll probably go for another like 15 minutes. Just to kind of go over and kind of get an insight into what is going on, and the fact that these people that are like, these are bad for you, are not gaslighting you. The people that are telling you that these are safe and that it's okay and that what we eat here is perfectly safe is the problem. Here's yellow 5. And I even did put the video or the link for this Rumble video in. I kind of wanted to share just snippets of it without too much, because I really don't want YouTube to get me. So, and this is some of this might not make sense. This study was out of Brazil, and Department of Physiology, Institute of Biology, in somewhere in Brazil, and it was translated into English. So some of the things, I'm going to skip past this one a little bit more, because some of the things that you think are difficult to read anyway in English are even worse when they're translated from Portuguese. Just saying. Tartrazine is one of the most widely used artificial foods, drugs, and artificial foods, drugs, and cosmetic dyes. It's a nitrous derivative and is known to cause allergic reactions such as asthma and urticaria, which I want to say, yeah, a rash. I was gonna say a rash, but like, I'm not a doctor, so red welts on the skin that itch intensely, sometimes with dangerous swelling caused by an allergic reaction. as well as having been the focus of studies on mutagenesis and carcinogenesis due to its transformation into aromatic amine sulfonylic acid after being metabolized by the GI microflora. 45 male Wistar rats were assigned to a control group A or treatment group B. The treatment group received 7.5 milligrams per kilogram per day of tartrazine daily in drinking water, offered by ad libitum for 10 months. 10 months, weaning to the age of 12 months. There was a significant increase in the number of lymphocytes and eosinophils of the gastric intramucosa. So lymphocytes and eosinophils are white blood cells. So what causes an increase in white blood cells, or what can cause a high white blood cell count? Well, let's look. It doesn't like between sharing a PDF and sharing a website. So it doesn't allow me to just, it's one of StreamYard's little inconsistencies. What can cause a high white blood cell count? By the Mayo Clinic. Infection, reaction to a medicine, bone marrow disease, an immune system issue. Sudden stress, such as hard exercise, smoking. Specific causes can include allergy, asthma, bacterial, viral, fungal, parasitic infections, burns, Churg-Strauss syndrome, which I don't know what it is, medicines, leukemia, lymphoma, myelofibrosis, polycythemia vera, rheumatoid arthritis, sarcoidosis, tuberculosis, vasculitis, and whooping cough. So if these rats were having a high white blood cell count after getting microdoses of yellow number 5, what is that doing for us? And some of these things, like allergic reactions, allergy, asthma, are some of these things, is there a link? I mean, what are the rates of asthma in the US and rates of asthma overseas? I'd be willing to bet that it's higher here. And I'm wondering if our food has anything to do with it. Just one of those things that makes you go down a rabbit hole and you go, huh, all the time. One thing leads me to another, leads me to another, leads me to another, and I just go down this deep old rabbit hole. Because that, just hearing that it went from, it increased their eosinophils was like, oh, well, what can cause something to increase your eosinophil? Oh, I don't know. Infection. Yeah, I'm not saying that food can cause it. Well, it's not food. It's the artificial crap. It's the things that we're not supposed to be eating. The things that we're not supposed to be eating that we're eating. We're eating microplastics. Like, we're eating the byproduct of, like, cottonseed oil. It's just a byproduct of, it's a waste product. And they said, oh, we can use it in food. Whoever came up with that bright idea. My goodness. Ugh. So I'm going to go back to sharing this yellow number 5. Ugh. No carcinogenic changes in the gastric area were observed during the study. As tartrazine belongs to the azo class, it's still a possible food carcinogen. Other studies with different doses and schedules observing their effects associated to other carcinogens should be carried out if their safe use is to be recommended. And this is just another one. A wide range of food additives running into more than 2,500 items used to preserve, dye, or enhance foods are a consequence of industrialization and development of food processing technology. A food additive is only approved for human consumption after studying its acute, subacute, and chronic toxicity. Nevertheless, post-marketing surveillance of its effects must be kept for a long time. Information concerning the safety of long-term use of such chemicals, their combined effects, and mutability within the organism is scarce. So that's the other thing. We've gotten some studies that say this stuff is bad for us, but then we don't have a lot of studies because no one seems to give a shit. That's part of my problem, is no one seems to give a crap. Like, several metabolites of these substances, such as nitrous compounds, have been found to be carcinogens. Toxicity or benefit depends on to what extent food components affect absorption, excretion, or the metabolism as a whole. So think about nitrous oxide. What did you use that for? Like, it's just so bad for you. So this is a study out of Brazil. So yeah, tartrazine is an azobenzene artificial yellow dye whose structure features trisodium salt of 3-carboxy. Yeah, I'm not getting into molecular structure because we don't care. It's widely used to sweets, chewing gum, jellies, puddings, jams, juices, mustard, sodas, drugs, and cosmetics. Because it's a nitrous derivative, it's reduced in the organism to an aromatic amine, which is highly sensitizing. Its main metabolite identified to date is sulfonic acid. Sulfonic acid. Ugh. Tartrazine has been implicated as the food additive most often responsible for allergic reactions, having thus been targeted by the scientific community. Although urticaria, asthma, purpura, and eczema have been described, chiefly affecting individuals' allergy to aspirin, the underlying immunologic mechanism has proved elusive. So, it's just one of those. Getting to the discussion and the results. Only 2 animals did not survive to the end of the study. Moreover, no pathologic events were observed during the 46 weeks. So it was a 46-week-long study. Animal number 6 from Group A died in the 39th week. No cause was determined. Ugh. Number 30 from Group B died in 40th week due to indifferentiated round cell malignancy involving the intestinal wall and pancreas with liver metastasis. It has liver cancer. Ew, it had colon cancer. Like, it had colon cancer. So the results are very scientific and over my head. Our results have shown that the daily yellow dye tartrazine at the acceptable daily intake dose significantly increased the number of eosinophils in the antrum and also produced an even more significant increase in lymphocytes in the same region. I mean, yeah, Flash fan, YouTube is great for watching cooking videos. I do that to get ideas. It's free, and after a while, you've seen enough and tried enough to make it work most of the time. YouTube is great for cooking videos. Pinterest has a lot of good recipes. Sometimes you do get Pinterest fails, so make sure you check the comments first. But YouTube is great for especially alternative cooking. Gluten-free, using gluten-free and different types of flours instead of your normal flour. It's very helpful. Anything you can find anything on YouTube. Even things you don't want to see. So, there was yellow number 5, just one study. There were multiple to choose from. This was just the easiest to read. It's crazy. And I do have another one too, that artificial dye in children. So, and I also have actually this one too. And this one was using roundworm models. This Canor habitus elegans is a type of roundworm that mimics not humans per se, but bigger structures. Consumption of commonly used artificial food dyes increases activity and oxidative stress in the animal model. This was from Food Research International, and this was out of Spain. And a whole lot of names that I can't read, and I'm going to say Department of Biology, Molecular Biology, Regional Campus of International Excellence, out of Spain. So, in recent decades, the consumption of artificial colorants in food and beverages has increased despite concerns of the general population raised by studies that have shown possible injurious effects. In the study, tartrazine, sunset yellow, quinoline yellow, Ponceo 4R, carmazine, and allura red, which is the red 40, were employed as pure compounds to explore their effects in vivo in the animal model of the roundworm. The exposition of C. elegans to artificial dyes produced damage related with aging, such as oxidative stress and lipofunction fusion accumulation, as well as heavy shortening of lifespan, alterations in movement patterns, and alterations in the production of dopamine receptors. So if it had alterations in dopamine receptors, could that be a link? Could that be a link between artificial food dyes and mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety? Because dopamine is the chemical that makes you feel happy. It's why things get addictive. So, yuck, flash fan, yuck. So, this is another study that really went into more chemicals and oxidative stress versus the cancer-causing properties and the DNA damage. But this mentioned dopamine receptors. So now my brain wants to go down a rabbit hole of food dyes and dopamine. So, you're allergic to strawberries and bananas. Oh, you would not make it in this household. If we don't have strawberries and or bananas, baby Squid will go nuts. Like, she led Daddy to the closet today. She grabs our hand and like drags us where she wants us to go. And he picked her up and she's like, Nana. It's like, girl, we don't have bananas. You ate the last one today. Like, if she doesn't have bananas, we would go. She gets mad at me because we don't have bananas. So, pineapples are good too. Give me them nanners. Nanas. Which is funny because my mom's Nana. So, she like Nana Banana is what I call her. So, but here's some interesting, this is just a small snippet of what we could get into, because there's just so much. There's so much. And I didn't even get into Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and why people hate him. So basically they call him anti-vaccine. But what's funny is they call him anti-vax group because he did take over a children's anti-vax group. But you can be anti-vax without forcing your beliefs on others. So he is an environmental lawyer, but he is very passionate about what's in our food. And I like that the AP I'll share the AP things to know about. I feel like all these publications, because, okay, this is where I'm going to get political. Because one certain side of the aisle seems to think that if you don't agree with them on one topic, that you don't agree with them on anything. I can think a certain way and have a certain opinion and be in a position of power without forcing my beliefs on others. So, says President-elect Donald Trump plan to appoint Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead Health and Human Services Department will put a prominent vaccine skeptic. You see what they said here? Not anti-vaccine, skeptic. I'm skeptical of everything and everybody. Ask my parents. I am skeptical of so much shit. That doesn't mean that I don't eventually come around to it, or I don't trust that they can make the decisions for themselves. I just have this eye like, are we sure we want to do that? Are we sure? Are we sure? Like, so I can do things and still be skeptical of them. Hell, I drive my car and I'm skeptical if my car is going to make it half the damn time. Like, but I still do it. So just because you're skeptical of something, I would rather have someone be skeptical of shit and investigate than just take things at face value and be like, okay, but that's just me. But because one side of the aisle seems to think that if you don't agree with them on one thing, that it's like an all or nothing group thing. You can disagree on things and be like, no. Like Trump. Trump was all about the vaccine. But he was all about the vaccine, and he says, I think it's right. I think it's this, but you don't have to take it if you don't want to. Totally fine with that. It's the people who said, I believe in it, so you have to take it too. That's the problem. That's our issue. So it's just interesting how they word things. They tell you his anti-vax, but when they wrote it in this article, they put vaccine skeptic. You could be skeptical of vaccines and still get them. I was skeptical of the child vaccines and she still got them. Like, I can be skeptical, talk about my problems with it, and work something out. Like, just because I'm skeptical doesn't mean I'm right. Like, it just means I want to know more. A sign of famous Democratic dynasty, Kennedy made a name in his own right as an environmental attorney who successfully took on large corporations, including DuPont and Monsanto. Monsanto was big for chemicals that they'd spray on food. But over the past 2 decades, he's increasingly devoted his energy to promoting claims about vaccines that contradict overwhelming consensus of scientists. See, and this is my problem with them. Just because the overwhelming consensus doesn't mean they're right. Just because you're in the majority does not mean you're correct. A majority of people in this world once thought it was flat. That didn't mean they were right. They were just the majority until something came along and proved them wrong. Just saying. I mean, not to use the flat earth thing, but like a majority of people thought the earth was flat. That didn't make them right. That just made them the majority. You know. Just saying. Trump would have Kennedy lead a massive cabinet agency that oversees everything from drug, vaccine, food safety to medical research and the societal safety net programs such as Medicare and Medicaid. Technically, no. But yeah. Technically, it's CMS is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. However, Medicaid is state-run. They get federal money, but it's state-run. You have Peach Care, you have Badger Care. It's different in every state. He said before the elections he would give Kennedy free reign over health policy. Yes, because he is aware that Kennedy knows more than him in this. And it's fine. I would rather have someone be skeptical of our government than just go in there and be status quo. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like the status quo, because look where the status quo has gotten us. Nowhere. And nowhere good, anyway. So, and this is also what I have the problem. The cabinet agency that oversees everything from drug, vaccine, and food safety. Why should drugs and food safety be in the same department? Yes, I'm skeptical of everything government. And I appreciate incoming cabinet members and people in positions of power that are also skeptical. Because if you are skeptical, you will ask questions. And when you ask questions, you will either get people who say, I'm out, I don't want to answer your questions, I quit. Or you will get to the bottom of shit. Either one is fine with me. But I don't understand why food and drugs should be in the same, overseen by the same agency, considering those two things, like, because if you have crappy food, you're going to need more medication. Like, it, yeah, I've had the flu since I haven't gotten a flu shot. And you know what? When I got the flu shot and I had the flu, and when I got the didn't get the flu shot and I had the flu, both of them sucked. Neither one was worse than the other. They were about equally the same. And they, like, all it is I got the flu and my own body had to fight it off, instead of a bunch of chemicals that I'm trusting that somebody else has my best interest in mind. And if y'all know me, y'all know I don't trust shit unless I read it, see it with my own eyes, or I've tested it myself. So, yeah, there's that. It's funny how his whole, like, it's all about, do you notice this? It's all about the vaccine. This whole article is, get to know him, all about how he's anti-vaccine. Because he did not trust the COVID vaccine. Because he did not trust the vaccine that was produced in less than 10 months, that all of a sudden he's all anti-vax. And it's, no, you can be skeptical. And if you do want to look at vaccines and their adverse effects, I also put the link for the vaccine adverse event reporting system. This is also a government website. It's Department of Health and Human Services, VAERS.hhs.gov. So this is where you can, if you got a vaccine and you had an adverse event, you can report it online. So don't just tell your doctor. It's important to tell your doctor, but don't just tell your doctor. Go to this website and you actually fill this out. So this is how they track what is and what isn't helpful. And you can look at all the data. But it's funny that they give you this data, but they also have this big long disclaimer. Key considerations and limitations of various data. The number of reports alone cannot be interpreted as evidence of a casual association between a vaccine and an adverse event, or as evidence about the existence, severity, frequency, or rates of problems associated with the vaccines. Interesting, huh? I like how they have that one highlighted, because that's a hot topic these days with increased heart problems and the Fauci ouchie. So I will let you guys read and interpret this for what you want, but I did provide that link in the description as well. I'm trying to get better at posting the links. I'm trying to get better at posting links at what I go over, so when I don't have the time to go over all of it, or I don't have the patience with, I don't want to make you guys suffer through reading some of that. I hit the highlights and I give you the information and let you make your own decisions. So I think that's where I'm going to call it a night because I am going to um, get to taking my my Mucinex and go to bed because I'm starting to get a little tired and starting to get a little yeah. But I'm going to see where I can redirect you guys. Squidaddle. You're hilarious. I'm gonna trust my doctors, but they also check for myself too. See? And that right there is a doctor who I would trust. If you ever have a doctor that says, I don't know, but let's find someone who does know, or that says, go look on your own. This is what I think, but do your own research and we'll talk. Those are the doctors that I think you should keep. Just my personal opinion. But I definitely think that yeah. Did your mom believe that Vicks is a cure-all for everything? Just curiosity. So we are going to go over to Tug. Oh, with Megan. All right. Y'all have a good night. And I will see you on the next one. Tomorrow noon, we are doing a deep dive on GA1, which is the disease that little HG has. I will not say her name. I will never say her name out of respect for her. But I am doing a research only, no opinions. No opinions on what someone could have done, should have done, is doing, is not doing. It's none of my business. However, I've seen missteps and mislabeling on both sides, and I'm kind of annoyed at some of everybody. Actually, I kind of got annoyed and pissed off at everybody because I heard some things from the pro what the hell side that I didn't agree with as a medical employee and a person with a degree in an allied health field. And I've heard some things on the other side that makes me go, huh? Huh? So I'm going to I'm not putting any opinions out there. I am just putting the research out there and what it is and how it can affect people so that before you talk about who isn't doing something right, you understand that we don't know everything. And there is a wide range in doing my research. There is a wide range of physical and cognitive deficits that can be experienced if this is not handled the utmost way. So on that note, I will see you guys tomorrow. Go tell Tug I said hi. Have a great night, guys.